Record School. What's up? This is DJ Spin So Nice. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's been happening all over the world. My thoughts on the situation, the riots, the revolution, uh, just the foolishness. And this is Record School. Record School is just about all the vinyl, all the records that I'm obsessed with, that I collect, that I use in my daily life. There is some deep history and deep knowledge to be found in the music. These records are textbooks. Believe it or not, these records are all textbooks. These records are all history books. And let's talk about it. Right now, Donald Trump has been impeached again, so we just got to give shout outs to the Honey Drippers. This is my copy of Ultimate Beats and Breaks. I don't have the original 7-inch from the Honey Drippers, but this one will do. The track, Impeach the President. Impeach the President. So shout out to the Honey Drippers, Impeach the President, and everyone that fought and voted to get Trump out of there. Okay, rewinding and just let's get right to it. This is a copy of the New York Times from last week. On Sunday, it says, got my little homie here from Georgia. Shout out to Stacey Abrams and all the people that rallied in Georgia and got the 2 senators elected. They showed black strength. The headline's kind of interesting. It says, Black Power is here. True that. Black Power has always been here. Let's not forget. Let's not forget. You know, I got a photo of King Tut in the background, King Tutankhamun. Black Power has always been here, but let's stay focused on right now. So that was pretty disgusting what happened, the riot in Washington. And I just want to talk about how there are some albums, some records that actually, you know, have been making sense, that we can look at to make sense of what happened, and they actually speak on some of those events. So we're going to go in the past and we're going to go all the way to the future. This is an album which is a dope, funky jazz album. That's probably like my favorite genre, you know, along with hip hop and Afro house and that kind of stuff. But any kind of dance floor, funky jazz, I'm with it. This is Hugh Masekela. You should buy this album if you get a chance to. It's called Colonial Man. Now, the music disguises the message. Now, this album, he's wearing a colonial conquistador outfit. Every song is about a colonizer. Every song is about a colonizer. It's kind of an ode and a criticism of a colonizer. Look at the smile on his face. He's being real clever with his music here. He talks about Cecil Rhodes. He talks about Christopher Columbus. He talks about the gentleman, King of Portugal, who colonized Brazil. So what I wanted to talk about was his track Colonial Man. Look it up. I'm not going to play it right now. I'll have it on some mixes coming up, but look it up. It's called The Colonial Man, and it's about Christopher Columbus. Cortez, he was a pirate just like Christopher Columbus. He liked discovery. He was a friend of mine. Now this is all, you know, satire, but the colonial mindset is what kind of is the root of the mindset of Trump and all those rioters and knuckleheads that were so upset that their so-called American dream and the white supremacy hegemony was threatened. It comes from a colonial mindset that this is ours, right? That this is theirs. And it's interesting because Hugh Masekela is dropping some knowledge on this album, and that's where that mindset started. You know, right now we know where we are in the world. We're in a real messy place, but it started with that. This one is very interesting. I listen to this album all the time, and I'm so happy that my daughter, the 5-year-old, I asked her what album she'd like, and she's like, "Oh, I would like the record that sounds like talking about a fast car." Basically, she told me she would love to have her own copy of this album by Tracy Chapman. Shout out to Tracy Chapman. I find this album to be a masterpiece. If you don't know this album, listen to it all the way through. You will be changed. Okay? Once you listen to this album top to bottom, you will be a different individual because her art on this album is so haunting and so beautiful and so powerful. Now, the song that connects with the riots in Washington, D.C., the state of America, the division of that country, and how all other countries, I'm broadcasting from Canada, but we're watching, we're analyzing. It's not talking about a revolution, sure, maybe, but I think it's a song called "Across the Lines." Across the Lines is about the division of white and black in everyday, every town America. She says, "Across the lines, who would dare to go under the bridge, over the tracks? It separates white from black." That riot was a white issue. Okay, I mean, there were black people there, there were Spanish people there, maybe Asians, but it was fueled by whiteness and white men for the most part, led by Trump and his cronies and those white police who allowed the whole thing to go on. And we know that if it was our people, well, it'd be the same old stuff, right? Murder, slaughter, indiscriminate violence. But Tracy Chapman in this song "Across the Line," she talks about a white boy going blind. She talks about the division across the tracks, the metaphorical tracks, and even the result of that division is, even white bodies being harmed, even black bodies being harmed. It's deep, it's ugly, it's a really scary song, but it's beautiful. I want to shout out Tracy Chapman because, this kind of message, these kind of stories she tells in the music from 1988, boom, we're seeing it happen right now. We're seeing it happen right now. Don't shoot, guns down, racist, policeman. Don't shoot, guns down, racist, policeman. Don't shoot, I'm innocent. Don't shoot, I'm innocent. That's right. This is a song that's on the Salt album. Salt, Untitled, came out in 2020. My favorite album of 2020. Fists Up. This song is advocating for us, everyone that was fighting in the streets for black equality. Okay? Black equality. Whether they were black, white, anyone that was fighting in the streets for that. The song represents that struggle. And it's interesting because, that struggle is a real, honest, equitable struggle that has been going on since time of colonialism, and it still goes on today. And it was distorted and it was completely the opposite during the riots because that was just an entitlement and it was a picnic wrapped in a terrorist attack. You know what I mean? Those guys were happy and all the rest of it, and it's a bunch of foolishness. Honorable mention goes to The Last Poets. Everyone should listen to The Last Poets. They have a poem called "When the Revolution Comes." When the revolution comes. What I would say is the record that makes the deepest, most profound connection to what happened and what is continuing to happen in Washington, the riots and the aftermath. The album is this gentleman right here, "Pieces of a Man" by Gil Scott-Heron, my hero, and his poem, his seminal poem, his seminal piece, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." I'm trying to learn a lot about Gil Scott-Heron as deeply as I can. I have his memoir here. Let's see. His memoir here is called "The Last Holiday." Book club alert if anybody would be interested in, chopping it up with me about this novel, this memoir by Gil Scott-Heron. I'm happy to check that out with you. But this is it. The revolution will not be televised. Gil Scott-Heron said the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live. What he didn't realize is that, I would say the revolution is here because things are changing, but he didn't realize that, the times we live in, when he said the revolution would be live, he was talking about activism, getting out, making a change, making art, making the world the way you want it to be. But everything is also televised now, right? Because I'm on YouTube, I'm on IG, everything we do is televised. So that's a mind-blowing transition that I don't think Gil Scott-Heron would realize. But there's one line in that song or that poem that has always stuck with me. And he says, I'm going to paraphrase, but he says, "You will not be able to watch reruns. The revolution will not come better with Coke because black people will be out in the streets looking for a brighter day." He says, because black people will be in the streets looking for a brighter day. And what a beautiful human thing to say. We'll be out looking for a brighter day. That line, it pertains to us, but it could pertain to anybody. You can just say even people will be out in the streets looking for a brighter day. And that's something that happens all the time. The people in Georgia were out looking for a brighter day. People suffering for COVID are out looking for a brighter day. Speaking of a brighter day, and this is where I want to say with Record Skool, we can look at albums and we can just go as deep as as we can. We come back to Detroit, Michigan. Every video that I do, I'm telling you, man, there's going to be a connection to Detroit, Michigan, because this album, that's another story. I'm trying to be quick. This is more gospel, Voices of Tabernacle Church in Detroit, Michigan, starring James Cleveland. Look at this face here. There's a gentleman who is the choir director. His name is James L. Craig. This is the smile on someone's face who is looking for a brighter day and who has found it, who has found a brighter day. There's a contrast. We can't forget, the hip hop. Look at this smile here. This is Amadou Diallo on the cover of JDF the Police. This song is a protest against the forces who have been attacking us ever since the colonial times, right? We got the smile from our brother Hugh Masekela here. Can you zoom in? Don't worry, I'll zoom in. He's smiling because he's got his spirit in the right place. But the forces he's talking about, Columbus and Cecil Rhodes, they brutalized us, right? And that's what JD is talking about in this song. Now, Gil Scott-Heron, he says, all we can do is keep looking for a brighter day in this revolution. And this is a really cool thing. I thought was a great contrast. And the spirit of endurance, right? These smiles that have been part of Black African culture, African American culture ever since 1619, but even before that, right? Even since we were playing drums in the continent. So it all comes full circle. I can ramble on and on, but I hope I gave you a little bit of enlightenment on how I personally put the events of this week, Trump being impeached and rioting on the Capitol and trying to overthrow an election because his white supremacist ideology is threatened. I put it all in context with the music and with the culture and with the messages and with these ancestors and with this brilliance. Please like, please subscribe. I got more videos coming, by the way, coming along the pipe. I have some collaborations coming the way because I don't want to just do this by myself. I appreciate your support. DJ Spin So Nice. You can check me also on Mixcloud, some mixes. And please stay safe and listen to Gil Scott-Heron. Holla.